Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Is everybody there? Hi everyone, I'm back. I think Reverend Idahosa is ready, so we'll wait until more people join. I was starting to enjoy that pre-show. You guys were asking some really good questions. Maybe I should do some more of those. Hi everybody. Hi Tanya. Hello. Hi the activator. How are you? Sometimes I only remember people's what's it called? I only remember people's handles. I don't remember their names. Hello Reverend Idahosa. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, everyone, I'm going to bring Reverend Laurie Idahosa on. We are live. Okay, let me see. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time with Dr. Iyabo. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Lola. Hi, Clay. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good, good.
It's so
So
good to
nice.
see you.
I know, same here. So nice to meet you in person. You see how technology brings us all together? This is
Exactly.
wonderful. I love your smile. It's so like heartwarming,
Oh,
honestly.
thank you. I love yours too.
Thank you, thank you. So everyone, welcome. This is Reverend Laurie Idahosa. Her bio is this long. So
No, please.
I'm going to give you the part about her family, and then I'm going to allow her talk about the work she does, and then we'll dive in. So Reverend Mrs. Laurie Whetstone Idahosa was born in Wilmington, Delaware, USA, to Reverend Dr. Gary and Reverend Mrs. Faye Whetstone. It's Whetstone, right?
Yeah, yep, that's it.
Okay. She married Bishop F.E. Benson Idahosa in 2002. She's a mother of three sons, Feb, Junior, Nathaniel, and Judah. So that's Reverend Idahosa. Now I'm going to have her take the stage and tell you about some work that she does and about herself.
Okay, thank you.
Reverend
First of all, thank
Idahosa.
you. Super great. Thank you so much for having me on your program. I'm
You're
excited to
welcome.
meet you and to see you. And I appreciate you for allowing me to be about 10 minutes behind schedule. I had such a beautiful experience with a friend this afternoon at lunch, and it just was going over and over and over. So it made me
That's
just a few
fine.
minutes late. So thank you for understanding.
Thank
Um,
you, and thank you.
so I'm Laurie, and I live in the Benin City, Nigeria. I have, as you rightly said, three wonderful boys and a great husband. And I am blessed to be the co-proprietor to a wonderful school, Nathan American Academy, which is in Benin City, the only American school in Benin City. I also work in Benson Idahosa University as the director of Campus Life, which is a phenomenal school, making great leaders for Nigeria and the rest of the world. I also involved, my husband and I started a hospital for women and children.
Wow.
After the loss of our son, we felt the need to do something for the families in Nigeria who didn't have the same type of access to medical care that we had when we were in a particular situation. So we have a Big Ben's Children's Hospital, as well as lots of other remarkable things that God has blessed us to do in Nigeria. I pastor a church, Church Unusual, which is a church that is mainly aimed towards the new generation, which I absolutely love. I love young people and I love impacting the minds of youth. So I'm excited to be a pastor of Church Unusual. And I pretty much just get involved in whatever God gives me an opportunity to get involved in. So my hands
Yes.
dabble in everything just because I'm one of those people who I like it all. So
Yes.
that's what I do.
Me too. Wonderful. Thank you. And I'm so sorry about the loss of your son. I don't think I knew that. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, my condolences. Yeah, I didn't know. But
Thank
I'm
you.
the same way too. And whatever God tells me to do, I'm very obedient. I'm just like, okay, I'll do it. Oh, you want me to do this as well? As long as it's helping people, it's
Exactly.
fine. Yeah, and it doesn't have to have a label or a title, and I don't have to have a qualification for it. If God tells me I'm qualified, I'm qualified.
That's
So,
it.
yeah, I have lots of questions for you, and I know we only have an hour, and I'm sure that our audience will also have questions. So, start to type your questions. I have some questions for how should I address you, Laurie or Reverend Idahosa?
Laurie, please.
Laurie. Okay, okay. I want to make sure. I always want to ask. So I have questions for Laurie, but I know you guys probably have questions too. So here we go. I'm going to pin the title in a second, but I want you to start talking. So you probably can imagine what my first question is. Aside from the pandemic, there's so much that us women have to do. You know, now there's homeschooling as part of it. We have to be wives, we have to be mothers and sisters and aunties. We have to think about the meals and homework and activities. And then now we don't have any respite from our kids because a lot of us are homeschooling. So, Laurie, can you please help all the women here and me figure this out? How do we juggle it all?
Wow. Gosh, you know what? It's such a unique season we're in. And I like to, I'm one of these glass half full kind of people. So I kind of say, you know what? The situation might be a little frustrating. It might be a bit out of the ordinary, but I kind of try to look at what are the positives. So, and when you can see the positives, it helps you embrace the whole thing. So that's the way I operate. So for me, I just kind of look at it and I'm like, you know what a great opportunity to spend with my family, my kids. You know, I'm one of these moms that I travel everywhere. I'm always up and down. I'm always kind of everywhere at all the time. And now I get to be home. I get to see what they're thinking, how their routines are. And it's just been really remarkable. So the way that I think you juggle it is honestly, you have to take it one day at a time and you have to look for the positives in it. You have to look for the if you're constantly just allowing whatever the rhetoric is hit you and then you embrace it, no, you're going to be frustrated. So you have to look for the positives, and when you look for the positives, then you'll begin to see it a little differently. And so that's kind of the way I approach it. I say, you know what? Okay, it's a great opportunity for me to bond more with my husband, to bond more with the children, to spend more time at home, building the house into a lot of times we neglect our home. We make our
Yes.
offices beautiful. We drive nice cars. The outside of our world is great, but then our personal space doesn't always reflect our values. So it gives you now we have an opportunity to allow our personal space to really reflect who we are. You know, beautifying our homes, beautifying our
Yeah.
bedrooms, beautifying our relationships. And so
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity to really just experience something that we probably a lot of us have been missing for some
Yeah.
years. And so I
Yes.
take it one day at a time and I look at the positives and I just spend time and every day just kind of saying, God, how do you want today to go? Because he knows the end from the beginning. And so he
Yeah.
always knows what he's doing before we get there. And so
Absolutely.
when you embrace that voice of God and you say, God, what would you have me to do during this season? What would you have me do during this time? Then he shows you the path, and his paths are always right. So, I think staying close to the voice of God is also something that's really helped me a lot.
Yes. I love all those answers. And I have a, so Laurie, I have a lady on here, Oinda Mola, I introduce her all the time. We met on Instagram and she's a younger lady, but she comes to all my lives and she types all the answers in for me so
Oh,
that people
nice.
can read them. So everybody, in case you missed what Laurie said, just read what Oinda Mola is typing in. And I love those answers because no matter what's going on, Laurie, right, there's always something good. So if we're focusing on the negative, that's what we're going to have in our hearts.
Yeah.
But if we're focusing on that, and this is what I tell my daughters too, my 16-year-old, when she's like, oh, I'm bored and I'm this, and I'm like, Moni, think about what God has blessed us with. We have shelter, we have food. There's some
Yes.
people on hospital beds right now, and we're at home, we're safe, we're not ill. Think about that. So, ladies, if you're feeling stressed out right now, Liz, did you hear what the Reverend said? Look for positives. Take it one day at a time. Beautify your personal space. I've been doing that. I've suddenly gone into flowers and plants. I talk to
Yes.
flowers. Yeah. I buy lots of plants and flowers and I just beautify my whole space. So there's always something good, and stay close to God and ask him what he wants you to do, because I do that and I'm sure the Reverend does it. So in fact, this show came from me asking God, what next? what else do you want
Mm.
me to do? Speak to me. There's a song that I sing by Donnie McClurkin in my brain, and it's speak to my heart, Lord. And I'm like, God, speak
Mm.
to me. What else? And he brought somebody to give me the idea of this show. So I love that. Now, I do, from the answer you gave, Laurie, you said bond more with your husband, bond more with your partners. So now there's some people who are just starting to spend more time with their husbands. Maybe their husbands used to work in another country or continent. Now they're living together and they're starting to now realize they don't get along that well.
Hmm.
How do they figure that out? Because so I've heard over and over women telling me this,
Yeah.
that I didn't know he was like that. I didn't. How do they renew their marriage if they are now realizing they don't even get along?
Wow, it's been an issue that a lot of us have faced. Just saying, okay, now I've got to be with this person 24/7, and I just don't like them the way that I used to. Um, a lot of us have had to go back to, why did I fall in love with this person in the first place? What was it about them that attracted me? And then look for those things. There's still probably a glimmer of it somewhere in your relationship, those original things that attracted you to one another, and then realize that you've grown, realize that you've changed, realize that you've evolved over time. And then say, you know what, I might have originally fallen in love with you because you were a great musician or because you are a great public speaker, and now you're not playing music anymore, now you're not speaking anymore. What is there left? And you might say, you know what, now I'm going to find new reasons to love you, I'm going to find new reasons to embrace this relationship that I'm in, and I'm going to give myself time, and I'm going to give you time. I think a lot of us, we put ourselves under a lot of unnecessary pressure. We
Yes.
see Instagram relationships where everybody is all cuddled up and snuggled up, and oh, I love you, and oh, I love you too. And we're like, oh, and it's not reality. A lot of
True.
these relationships are not all cuddly and snuggly in real
True.
life. So, don't hold yourself to the Instagram realities or the Instagram, uh, perception. People try to create a perception of what their relationships are like. Allow your relationship to grow at your own pace. Allow your love to reignite at your own pace. You don't have to be at the pace of everybody else, but so long as you're making progress, even if that progress is just baby steps, then you're heading
Yeah.
in the right direction. So maybe your progress this week will be, we're gonna have dinner together as a family. We're going to sit at the dining table together and actually eat and have a conversation. Some families have been doing that every single day, but for you, that might
Right.
be new. So you
Right.
embrace that new step and you conquer that before you try to conquer the next thing. Don't try to take on the whole world of having a perfect relationship. Take it one day at a time and grow piece by piece and bit by bit. And then you'll find that before you know it, you've made a lot of progress. So take it easy on yourself and measure your relationship. That's what I tell other people to do. Take a hard look at where you are today.
Mhm.
What take an inventory. What is my relationship like right now? What's my marriage like right now? The good, the bad, the ugly, the whole bit. Put it
Mhm.
all together and say, okay, what are the little things that I can do this week to improve?
Yes.
Maybe this week I'll stop using a certain tone with my spouse, or this week
Mhm.
I'll make the bed in the morning. Little things make the whole thing eventually come together.
That is wonderful. And I see the consistency in all your answers, taking it one day at a time. I think this is something, please, everybody that is on, men and women, please put this in your journal because it really helps. Because I say that to myself and I say to people around me that take it one day at a time. This moment is the moment you have. So make the most of it. And I see that consistently all through what you're saying. And it makes so much sense, people. Otherwise, you're going to be under pressure. You're going
Yeah,
to be feeling guilty. And that's the topic for today. So, Laurie, women feel guilty about many things.
we do.
You and I know. I can't even begin to tell you, what it is. That if they're asking a nanny to come and watch their kids for 4 hours, they feel guilty. If they're not cooking 3 square meals for their husband and it's only one, they feel guilty. If how can women let go of guilt and just feel free? How can we do that?
You know, it's a process, honestly, and it's in order to really let go of guilt, you have to embrace who you are, and you have to embrace, you know, who you are in Christ. And you know, I know this. It's for me. I'm a born again believer. I'm a pastor, and so
Yeah,
for me, the
so
best
I love
way to, of course, so the best
yeah,
way to get rid of guilt is to understand who I am in Christ and to see
yes,
how to see me the way that He sees me. He sees me as perfect. He sees me as without blame, without sin, without
yes,
shame. And so
yes,
when you can embrace the way that Christ sees you and say, you know what, God, if you see me clean, if you see me pure, if you see me holy, then I choose to see myself the way you see me. And then through that process, we begin to, when you love yourself, you perform better. When you embrace
yeah,
who you are on the inside, when you love yourself, you're just you're a more wholesome person. And so the only way you can truly love yourself is if you love God. You love the one who made
mm,
you. And so
mm,
I believe that the way that we should be able to live without guilt is to really embrace the Christ in us, to be able to embrace the way that Christ sees us. And then we
yeah,
begin to see, we begin to start to reflect what the way he sees us. We begin to reflect him in our attitudes and our motivations and our conversations and our actions. Um, but when we're trying to do it in the natural and we're trying to do it in the flesh, we'll always fail. And
yeah,
we'll constantly feel angry with ourselves. You know, like, let me give you an
yeah,
example. When I just came home a few minutes ago, and as I told you, I was rushing to get back because I wanted to be here
yes,
for your program on time.
yes.
And I came in the house and I walk upstairs and I'm like, something smells burning. Something's burning. And I'm
Oh
like, what's going
no.
on? And I left the curling iron on before I went to church this morning. And this like plastic thing had melted and it was all
Oh
down.
no.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I could have just felt like, Laurie, you are so stupid. You could have been, you could have burned the house down. Or I could just say, you know what? Thank God I didn't burn the house down. Let me
Yes,
unplug the curling iron and let me address what I'm here to do. And so
yes,
that's what I did. I just unplugged it. I took a deep breath. I said, God, thank you that you saved me from that big mess. And I didn't beat myself up over it. I didn't, make myself feel like, oh, you're so, you know, irresponsible or careless. And, the
mm,
words that we speak to ourselves really matter. If you
yes,
if you speak to yourself words of life and words of blessing and words of that build you up and that lift you up, then you're going to start reflecting those things.
yeah,
So, the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he.
yes,
So I like to say, start with what's on the inside and start saying things to yourself like, Laurie, you're beautiful. You're
mm,
smart. You're
mm,
strong.
mm.
You're healthy. You're a good
Yes,
mom. You're a good wife. You're a loving partner. Whatever it is that you need to improve on, just begin to speak that over yourself over and over and over again and find the corresponding scriptures that support that thing that you need to improve
absolutely.
on. And then you
Yes.
begin to see a change. You begin to see an
Hmm.
improvement.
Hmm. I'm getting goosebumps. That's how I am. As you're speaking, I'm just like, wow, I love this.
Um,
Because, no, honestly, because this is changing lives and this video is going to continue to change lives. Because there's
Amen.
many of us, and I always say us because life is cyclical. I've been through my lows, and I know that life is cyclical, and God has always helped lift me up, even through my divorce and my parents passing away. So life is cyclical, but
Mhm.
I do want to get to single women in a few minutes, but there's many married women that I hear from. Even though I was divorced 10 years and I just got married, for some reason I attract women of
Congratulations.
all yeah, I attract thank you. I attract women from all stages of life. And there's many married women who message me and ask me that how can they be happier in their lives? In their marriages, they've tried everything, and their husband doesn't want to go to counseling. Let's leave out physical and emotional abuse and cheating and all that. Just, normal day-to-day problems. They want to be better wives. Yeah, what can
I
women do to be better wives and have a happier marriage?
I think we have to be better people before we can be better wives. Uh,
Okay.
when you're in a happy place, when you're in a peaceful place, when you're in a place that is relaxed and you're in a place that is progressive, then you're going to bring that to the relationship. So I firmly believe that your relationship reflects where you're going. It reflects who you are. And if the relationship isn't, it'll catch up with you. Eventually it will, if it's a healthy
Hmm.
relationship. So you keep working at you. A lot of times we spend a lot of our energy trying to fix the other person. How can I have a better marriage? Well, I need to make my husband more responsible. He needs to get a better job. My husband needs to do this. My husband needs to do that. And instead of looking at what he needs to do, or if it's a man watching what she needs to do, you can look at what you need to do, because uh, it's you're gonna attract what you are. So if you are
Ah,
wholesome, if you are clean, if you are moving in a positive direction, then your
mhm.
spouse in little ways is going to start to pick up on that, and then before
True.
you know it, they're going to
That's
start
true.
uh, following suit. So I
That's
would say
true.
if you want to have a better relationship, be a better person. Work more on yourself, and then
That's yeah.
the
Go ahead, Laurie.
communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, the communication, there comes a time where you have to communicate about the challenges. You have to communicate about the issues that you're facing. And when it comes to communicating about the hard things, I'm one of these people who is a firm believer in timing. Uh,
Mm,
your conversation can go extremely well when it's
mm,
done at the right time, when it's
yeah.
done at a time that the person is calm, the person is ready to receive, and it's also done in a way that is sandwiched, where you're praising, you're appreciating, you're
Mm,
sliding in that issue, and then you're sandwiching it with praise and appreciation. So they're getting the message, but they're getting the message in a way that reinforces the positive instead
mm,
of always pounds on the negative. And so, I believe that timing is important when you're communicating issues, and sandwiching is important. And then also, I'm one of these people that I firmly believe that when you reinforce positive behavior,
mhm.
then you'll find that you're getting some of the results you need. So let me give you an example. Maybe your husband's not very romantic. He's not, calling you or texting you with I love yous, no flowers, no romantic dinners,
Yes.
nothing.
Yeah.
Romance is like at a zero.
Yeah.
So when the guy reaches over and rubs your shoulder and says, "Oh, honey, you're so beautiful," or says just anything at all, anything, it can be the
Mhm.
smallest thing, then you
Yes.
just blow it up. You're like,
Yes.
"Wow, thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel so good when you did that. Oh, you're so this and you're so that.
Yes.
And you're
It
so romantic."
works. It
Before you
works.
know it, they're going to go, "Oh, I like that. I like the Laurie that I get when
Yeah.
I rubbed her shoulder and she
Hmm.
appreciated me. So I'm going to
Yes.
rub her shoulder a little more." And
Yes.
when you reinforce the positive, you get better responses than when you harp on the negative. So if the same in the same scenario, if you're saying to your spouse, "You never rub my shoulder, you never take me out, you never do this," then guess what? They never will. So
Mm.
you want to look for
Mm.
the positive, little, even if they're tiny, tiny glimmers of hope. Look for those
Mhm.
little glimmers of hope and say, "Oh, thank you so much for texting me when you were going to be 10 minutes late. That meant
Yeah.
so much to me." You
Yes.
know, and then don't go back to the negative. Don't go to the
Yes.
negative and say, "You know what? You're always 10 minutes late." No,
Mm.
the fact that you told me you were going to be 10 minutes late, it just reinforced our love. And I really
Hmm.
appreciate that. Those
Wow.
little things matter.
Laurie, you're a wise woman. You are. And no,
Thank God for grace.
honestly, no, no, honestly, you are so wise. Because my mom used to tell me all this in my previous marriage, but because I had other complexities going on, it was hard for me. And sometimes it was hard for me to do all this. But I'm wiser, I'm older, and I know what you're talking about. And if only women could do this, their lives would change. And we're not saying you should do this while you're dating. And I'm coming to the single women dating advice in a second. But once the man has proven himself to you and you're married to him, everybody likes to be praised and appreciated. Everybody likes it. And I'll give you an example this morning. And I didn't even do it because I was acting, but I always get dinner ready. The thing about me is if I'm going to cook, I get my everything ready in stages. So I was getting all the greens ready and asking my daughter to blend the pepper, for Nigerian stew. And I told Neil, my husband, I said, you know what, I really enjoy cooking now. I'm not sure why I really enjoy cooking. And then I was quiet. I said, you know why I enjoy cooking again? I said, because number one, you love my cooking. Number two, you help around the house. I said, because once I finish cooking, I find that you're there, you're doing the dishes and you're cleaning. And that's what he does. Neil doesn't like dishes hanging around. So I just started to praise him. And before this conversation, and it's funny that you're saying this, and I said, you know what, I love cooking again because you help me with cleaning up and all I have to do is cook and then I sit down and you clean up. And he's like, oh, I'm so happy to hear that. And I could see that he lit up. So,
Yeah.
these are practical examples, ladies. Are you guys listening? Men, we women have our own things we do. We like to talk about the negatives. You're not doing this. You didn't get me flowers. And you're this and you're that. But remember that men are human. As strong, they may look strong, they may look masculine, but they're also emotional and spiritual beings like we are. So remember that if you want anything you want for yourself, you better give it to your husband as well. So affirm him, let him know. Yesterday also my sink was blocked with all my hair that I keep, blow drying and changing hairstyles. And Neil, we didn't have to call a plumber. Neil brought out a clump of hair that was this thick. I know that's TMI, but I praised him. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to use my sink. And I was actually dancing because I was happy because my sink wasn't blocked anymore. So let your husband know that you appreciate him. You're a wise woman. I have to bring you back. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay,
Thank
single
you.
women and dating. Laurie, I have a lot of young women that follow me and they have a lot of relationship woes and trials. And can you just give us like 2 or 3 tips for wise dating, please, so that these women can choose guys that are good for them and will be positive for their future? Please, do you have any dating tips?
Gosh, I've got lots of dating tips. But I would say probably some of the most important things when you're dating is to don't date somebody who you would never marry. I think it seems so elementary and it seems so simple, but trust me, a lot of us make that mistake because we date a lot of men just because we need a space filler. We're just looking for somebody in the interim to keep us emotionally satisfied, physically satisfied, or otherwise. And we're just like, okay, well, I'm just going to, spend my time with him until I find somebody. Trust me, the somebody you might be who you're possibly supposed to find won't be there because you're going to be occupied with a space filler. So yeah, so don't date somebody that you'd never marry. If somebody is completely off the table, so let me give you examples of people you'd never marry. Somebody who's married, okay? If he's already married to somebody else, then he's off the table. He's not available.
No.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how much he's taking care of you financially. A lot of ladies date married men because they want to, live a certain lifestyle or whatever. If he's not available, if he's married or he's in another relationship, he's not marriage material. So he's off the table. Another person is somebody that you're unequally yoked with. So maybe somebody who is not of the same faith with you, or somebody who is is just not on the same intellectual plane with you, and you can't have a real conversation, and all you're having is a physical relationship because the conversation is almost at zero because he's not able to match you mentality for mentality. So don't be unequally yoked. Find somebody that you can be matched with, and spend your time with that person. And then, if you find that you're constantly finding bad guys. If you find that you're constantly attracting guys that are abusive or guys that are, not taking care of the bill at the, they're just, you're kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Then also look at yourself and say, what do I need to work on in me that's making me attract this kind of person who maybe only wants me for my body, or who only, or who's not kind to me. Work on some of those issues that you need to work on so that you can attract the kind of person that you really desire if you're not attracting that kind of person now.
But Laurie, how would you know that they're not going to pay the bills when you're dating them?
Well, there's little glimmers of you can sense, if a guy's like, okay, if you're dating somebody and in the short period of time that you start seeing them, he starts saying, you know what, I'm in a bad place right now. Can you loan me, some money to
Oh,
help with this
yeah.
month?
No.
If you're loaning a guy money,
Mhm.
then you're probably going to end up being the provider in the marriage. And that's where a lot of women find themselves, because we're so
Ah,
hungry for love and affection that we're willing to put ourselves in places that we know are harmful for us, or aren't really moving in the right direction. So if you're loaning him money, if you're paying the bill when you go out to eat, I'm not saying that you can't sometimes do stuff that's nice for your boyfriend or the guy you're dating. I mean, sometimes you
yeah.
can pay the bill, sometimes you can buy gifts, but if it's you that's always putting yourself out there constantly, and they're not, do you know what I'm saying? They're not there matching it or even
Yeah.
superseding it, then you know that there's a little bit of a red flag.
That's true. That is true. Even the gifts situation in all my videos and posts, I tell women, don't buy men any gifts. I guess I just say that because just so they don't. Because I just feel when you're dating a guy and you're buying him gifts, there's no, you can pay for lunch or for coffee once in a while, but buying a guy gifts, and I don't want to contradict what you're saying, but guys, Laurie and I are saying the same thing. So I
Yes.
don't want you to say, but Laurie said we can buy
No.
gifts sometimes. You said no. The main conclusion from this is let the guy chase you and let the guy
Yes.
prove to you that he wants you. You can buy him gifts, yeah, maybe after you've been dating for 3 months or 6 months, but not
Oh
on the
yeah.
second or
Long down
third.
the
Yeah,
road.
long down the road. Don't buy his love. Don't buy. Women want to buy love, and this brings me to my next question: that Laurie, how can we teach women that, or how can we model the behavior for women that they shouldn't be so desperate about getting married? I think society has formed this illusion with women that if you're not married, you're not worth anything, and women get
Mm.
so desperate and so pressured that they feel they want to get married and they end up with the wrong guy. So how can we remove this pressure? And I know it's not just the two of us, but how can we say something to reassure women that God loves you regardless of your marital status? Can you help us, please?
Well,
Yeah,
we
say
can
something.
we can be completely satisfied and single. You have to
Yeah,
embrace that idea first, before you can really be successful in a relationship. So
yes,
take the pressure off of yourself to get involved in a coupling situation. Just take the pressure off. Enjoy your time with yourself. Enjoy your time being single. And you
yeah,
might say, well, yeah, you can say that because you're not single. But when I was single, I loved it. I mean, I was living
yeah,
my best life. I was
yeah.
traveling.
Me
I was,
too.
yeah, exactly. I wasn't
Yeah,
putting my life on hold, waiting for somebody. And I think that's an unfortunate thing that a lot of singles do, is we kind of say, my life will
yes,
start when I get married. But the kind of person you really want to attract is the kind of person who meets you while you're already in motion. So you want to be in motion with your dream.
yeah,
You want to be in motion with your purpose. You want
yeah.
to be in motion with your aspirations and your hopes and the
Ah,
things that you would love to do. And when you're already in motion, then you attract somebody who's already in motion. So if you're in a holding pattern, you're going to attract somebody who's in a holding pattern. So you might be in a
ah,
holding pattern
okay.
for a relationship,
True.
but you attract a man who's in a holding pattern for a purpose, for a career,
Mm,
for a,
mm,
and so holding patterns
true.
attract holding patterns, motion attracts motion. So I
Ah,
would say get in motion, be progressive, um, run after your dreams, do the things that you've always wanted to do. And then you'll
Yes.
find people that are on that same path or on a similar path of progression. So yes, don't put yourself on hold, waiting for a relationship. The best relationships are going to come to you when you're in motion, not when you're sitting back. Oh, I don't have anybody. Oh, I'm lonely. Lonely attracts lonely,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you certainly don't want to
Yes.
attract a lonely man, because a lonely and a lonely are going to have a lonely squared. So
Yes.
you don't want to attract a lonely man. You want to attract a man who is moving, and you want to be moving as well.
Mhm.
So get
Oh,
moving.
wow. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. Be in motion with your dreams and with your purpose. Motion attracts motion. Lonely attracts lonely. Static attracts static.
Yes.
So, but yeah, just be in motion with your purpose, and the guy will come and meet you while you're in motion, and then you'll continue moving together. So this, I hope you guys are journaling and writing all this down, because these are gems. Now I'm going to go
Thank you.
into like career mode a little bit. So, and I know we're all about women should be financially independent. At least I know that I tell women that, and I tell them how important it is. Maybe because I was raised in a home where both my parents were working parents, and they
Mhm.
worked together, they had businesses together, and they raised us together. My dad was involved with everything. They were true partners. So,
Mhm.
and I know you, and I'm not sure what your thought process is, but I feel like I know you. I know you probably also encourage women to have some financial independence, to be financially free. How can we balance our professional career lives with still being feminine? Because sometimes it's confusing. It's like if you're overly what's ambitious, then you're seen as this bossy woman, or why does she want to earn so much, or why how because I like being feminine, even though I'm very ambitious, but i
Very.
also love i also love my feminine parts, and I think I've mastered how to balance it. But there's many women I see that don't know how to master it. How can we balance those two?
Wow, I would love to hear how you balance it, because I was reading all the stuff on your handle, and I love looking at you. You're just like gorgeous and perfectly balanced. So I think we can learn from each other for sure. Uh, but but since you're asking me the question,
Yes.
I would say, I don't think there's anything wrong with being in charge as a woman. Being in charge doesn't make you bossy. So if you're worried about, looking bossy and looking controlling, learn how to be a better leader. Great leaders are bosses, but they don't make their people feel suppressed. They make their people
Yeah.
flourish that are working together with them. So work on your leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Work on your understanding of what true leadership looks like. Uh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
fine tune some of those things and know your challenge areas. So if one of your challenge areas might be that you have a short temper, and a short temper and a leader can look like a very cantankerous person. I'm trying to find a different word than the word that the world likes to use. So if you have a short temper and you know that
Yeah.
you're in charge, then you need to work on your temper so that you don't come out being harsh or being cantankerous or being somebody who's hard to be
Ah,
around.
okay.
Work on your character and embrace your femininity. Realize that being a woman is a gift, because I believe
Yeah.
women are some of the most remarkable. I think we're the most remarkable gender that exists, and so
Yes.
so we embrace
Yes.
it. Love your
Okay.
skin that you're in. Love the way that God made you, but don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. A lot of times, women, oh, I'm so emotional. Well, no, you can learn to control your emotions. You don't have to cry at the drop of a hat. You don't have to cry in the boardroom just because you're a woman. In fact, don't ever cry at work. There are some little things that I think would really help
Yes.
us to reflect the grace that God has given us to lead, without giving
Mhm.
into some of the stereotypes that have been out there for women, where
That's
we've,
true.
people think, women are, emotional, women are this, and you don't have to give into the stereotype. And so what I always say is you want to fight a bad reputation with good behavior. So
Yes.
women already have a bad rep. You know, we already have a bad
Mhm.
rep as being emotional, as being, there's all types of things they say about us. So prove them
Yeah.
differently. Show them that
Yes.
you've got what it takes. Show them that,
Yes.
that you're not that. And honestly, we have to work twice as hard as the men do, but that just makes
Yes.
us twice as strong. So
Yes.
you realize that what you're going to bring to the table is a lot more strength because it takes a lot more energy to bring it out.
Right. Wonderful. So work on your leadership skills. I love that answer. I love all the gems you're giving us. Work on your leadership skills if you want to balance your feminine with your authoritative professional side. Yes. And somebody, I think, asked a question here. And please bring your questions because we only have 6 more minutes.
Oh, wow.
Somebody who is Judy said, I know time goes by so fast when you're having fun. So she said, Laurie, didn't you date Reverend as a teenager? Laugh out loud. When were you satisfied as a single? I don't,
Okay. Yeah,
oh, I
so
see
I
what
did.
she's trying to say.
I met my husband as a teenager. I met him when I was 13 and he was 14. But we never
Okay.
actually dated until we were in our late 20s. We
Oh,
liked each
okay.
other. We were interested in each other for years. Whenever we saw each other, it was fireworks, but we never were boyfriend and girlfriend until close to when we became married.
Ah,
So I had seasons where I dated other people. I had seasons when I uh, was just involved in my single life. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 17. I owned my own properties, my own business. I was a foster
wow.
parent. I was involved in all
Wow.
types of things as a single person. So
Wow.
no, I wasn't all coupled up for my whole single life. Uh, in fact, I don't think I really, yeah, we're not even going to go there. So yes, I had plenty of time to enjoy my single life.
Okay, okay, good. So that was that question. Now, the elephants in the room were alike but crisscross. So I'm married to a white Englishman, and you're married to a black Nigerian guy. It's the
Right.
elephants in the room. And I told my husband, I said, I'm going to bring it up. He's like, Iyabo, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And then he thought about it. It's like, actually, that would be good. It's the elephant in the room, and we have to discuss it. And I'm discussing it because I want to remove this stereotype about you that you have to date in your culture and in your race to be happy. I want to completely remove that stereotype because a lot of people get hung up on that and they're missing their soulmate
True.
or they're
True.
missing the person that is meant to change their lives. So, and I've said this over and over, but I want them to hear your perspective. How are you a white American woman married to a black Nigerian man and you're still flourishing and you're doing well? How have you been able? And I know there's challenges. So tell us the challenges and tell us how it's been for you and how women should have an open mind.
Yeah, so I don't believe uh, that you have to marry within your culture or within your tribe or within your race. I do, however, believe that it's sometimes easier depending on where you're going. So for me, marrying somebody who is a Nigerian or who is a Nigerian, who's not just a black man, but he's a Nigerian living in Nigeria, very different than a black American. Uh, it meant that I was going to have to live in a different culture in a different country. You choose your battles. So if that's not for you, then don't do it. Because certainly marrying cross culturally has its issues, especially when you're living in a different country. So you want to find the issues that you know that you can deal with. You want to find the challenges that you know that you're ready to overcome. For
Mhm.
example, my children have dealt with the issue of am I black or am I white, and so you have those identity issues that the children are going to have. So it's not without challenge. It definitely has its challenges, but
Yeah.
for us it was worth it because our relationship was really one that was called. We knew that we were supposed to be together, and when you know
Mhm.
that you're supposed to be together with somebody, then you're going to do anything it's going to take to make it work. Um, but cross-cultural relationships, I encourage people, if you're not ready for the work, then don't do it because it really does take a lot of work. And you're of course involved in it in a much more mature phase of life.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people when they get involved in their cross-cultural relationships are in a very immature phase, and they
That's
fall
true.
out of it quickly because of the
Yeah.
work that's involved and the maturity that it
Yes.
takes to sustain it. So you have to be mature, you have to be committed to the cause, you have
Yeah.
to be committed to the course that you're on in order to make a cross-cultural relationship really successful.
Yes, you're right. And I still face those challenges. We'll have to do a part two to talk about interracial, cross-cultural relation, because I still face that in
Of
the deep
course.
south. We still get the looks, we still get the comments, we still get all of that. So
So do
it's
we.
yeah, and I will add that it's challenging, just like any relationship is challenging. I was married to and I'm looking at the time because I don't want Instagram to cut us off. I was married to a Nigerian man, and it was challenging. You know, I had mother-in-law issues that were challenging. So every relationship is challenging, but by the grace of God, we can overcome our challenges. So real quick, 30 seconds, Laurie, and I want to thank you in advance because I'm going to cut us off so I can save this video. But somebody's asked, what's the ultimate advice for a woman to live without guilt? Ultimate advice.
Love yourself. That's really the bottom line. When you learn to love yourself, then guilt has no place because you forgive yourself quickly when you love yourself. You forgive others
Yes.
quickly when you love them. Think about
Yes.
your best relationship. Whatever they've done to hurt you or offend you, when you really love them, you're going to forgive them for anything. The
Yes.
same thing with yourself. When you love yourself, you'll forgive yourself, and then the guilt will just kind of wash away. And the best way you can love yourself is to love the Christ that is in you.
Yes. Thank you, Laurie. We love you so much. I have to have you back. Thank you so much. I'm going to
Thank you
end
for
it so I
having
can
me.
save this precious video. Thank you. I love you so much. Love you all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for
Bye.
having me.
Thank you.